Glory Jones in the house. Jonny Tsunami on the ones and twos. And Fiorella with the next topic.
Oh, my God. I'm not with you today. You are like,
oh my God,
so obnoxious today. It's like, it's too much. How many cups of coffee did you have?
It's funny because I didn't have a ton of coffee today. I had mud, which has 1/7 the caffeine of regular coffee. And this is my first big cup of real coffee.
All right, fam. I'm going to take a moment to chill. There we go. Okay. So
I was going to thank our patrons too. Right.
AOC.
Got it. AOC.
Sandy, like Steve likes to call her, is pushing legislation that, in my opinion, is pretty right wing. Actually, she's demanding sexual orientation, your gender, and your race/ethnicity to become a public thing for politicians or elected officials, right? And notice she didn't push anything for a $15 minimum wage. She is pretty much pushing for symbolic gestures because that's all she has, because she hasn't done anything tangible economic wise, because economics actually help people. They help all minorities, particularly, of course, even in the LGBTQ community, even any minority, right? Because they tend to be working class. So when you help the working class, you're helping minorities. But AOC is focused on virtue signaling because this is what she does. And so she wants this bill to amend the code to pretty much have detailed information on political nominees in the federal workforce. It would require publication of info on race, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, veteran status, and age. Those are things that I wouldn't want to share with people. Yeah. That's like private information. Why are you doing that, right? It really doesn't make any sense. Of course, she blasted the bipartisan Senate negotiating group for lacking diversity. White House Friday said Biden stands by commitment to put black women on the Supreme Court, and her push comes even as the Biden administration touts its own diversity efforts as historic. So we have the most intersectional warmongering administration. That's all wonderful and dandy. There's Mayorkas, who was heading the Department of Homeland Security, who is now, of course, responsible for deporting people that look like him, which is great. I feel so represented. I really do. Jonny feels represented too, and it's great, and we love it. And but guys, I just want to get your, I hate talking about AOC, but people still buy that she's, let's give her a chance. Let's let her see what she does. But
Our
look at the legislation.
Is getting bigger, fam.
Look at the legislation she pushed, right?
Yep.
The $7,000 for COVID death related funeral costs. The Green New privatization / warmongering deal that we all know is a bunch of bullshit. This, which is a bunch of symbolic virtue signaling to the shit libs that are the only ones that still pretty much like her.
Can we not forget about the present
tangible
vote?
The present vote for cops, like that
For
gave money to
security.
cops.
They can protect themselves.
But hashtag diversity and hashtag BLM and hashtag inclusivity. Like, I just cannot with this fucking woman. I cannot stand her. She's a CIA plant, I swear.
Oh.
She is just an actress. And
she's got the CC, whatever.
CAA?
Yeah.
Creative
CAA?
Artists Agency.
Yeah, she's part of the CAA. Well, that's not true and stuff like that. She didn't charge
Politicians-
$75,000 for a meeting. No.
She's hardly the only one, though. Politicians and journalists should not have, talent
agencies.
Yeah, I'm a little bit flabbergasted by that, to be honest. And she's not the only one. Like I said, she's one of many. So
Can I say, we talked about this Congresswoman for a long time and how dangerous it was. The first big sign we saw was when she said she'll defer to the caucus when it came to Venezuela. So pretty much just turning a blind eye on imperialism and on racism and sanctions that are killing kids little babies in Venezuela. She turned a blind eye into that. But then when she had a chance to speak out about the whole Cambridge Analytica situation when it comes to freedom of speech, whatnot, and to go after them and say, hey, Facebook had no right to sell your personal data, or they were claiming it's a leak. It doesn't make a difference. They shouldn't be able to do that shit, harvest all your information, then sell it. But instead, she used the opportunity on the floor of the Congress to go after, well, why are you putting disinformation out there? She used it as a political avenue to attack her opponents for saying they're putting out too much bullshit when it comes to Donald Trump, literature or post and all that stuff, and encouraged Congress to push the big tech to censor people more. That was the first time we were like, wait a second, wait, and then it's just one thing after another thing after another thing after another thing. And here we have AOC today, right? Please.
Yeah. She pushes people. She pushed her email, to make sure people ratted on others because of violence, violent words. And of course, she was responding to Justin Jackson's post. And like, that's the thing with her. It's like, and this is called the PAID Act. It's called the PAID Act, right? And she's talking about representatives reflecting America. Like, what does that do for you? What is AOC's fucking gender/sexual orientation/ethnicity reveal for political appointees do for you and your family? Really, just let me know. How does that make your life any fucking better?
Right. I mean, also, first of all, those tests finna be annoying as fuck to figure out. I just know because, like, I remember having to do the same thing for the little, like, PSAT and the SAT and all that, and it's annoying as fuck for mixed people to fill out. Let me just put that out there to begin with. Also, it's like Fee said, it's so symbolic, and it's so tokenizing, and it's really annoying to see that that's what we're going for to prioritize so we can get, we can get queer war criminals. Yay. Oh my God.
We have
it's like Avril Haines, who's the freaking diversity coordinator at Palantir.
Yeah.
Palantir. Peter Thiel, Palantir, predictive policing, that Palantir, having a diversity coordinator, and now she's in the Biden administration, and they're prioritizing diversity, but it's like, realistically, you only get that far as a person of color, as a woman, as a black woman, as any of that, if you sell out, right? Yeah. Because otherwise they're not going to want you. And why the flying fuck do we want the government to have access to our gender, sexuality, or race? I really don't want. I mean, like, they already have it, sure, but they don't need it in another database on federal employees.
Yeah. And when you talk about a black woman on the Supreme Court, like, the names that are floated are always so scary. Stacey Abrams worked for Center for American Progress. We all know about her. Susan Rice, Condoleezza Rice. I mean, you're going to put these warmongers on the goddamn board? It's just ridiculous. So,
another thing I just wanted to point out, too, was how AOC has left any talk of Medicare for all. This is what she ran on, right? Like, we can mock people and say, like, from the moment she started wearing the mask and all that stuff, like, it was just for show. But she ran on this. Poor people gave her money to push Medicare for all. And not only did she not push it, now she's completely deviated from the language. We've covered that. But Jackson Hinkle put up this tweet that I had to point out, because if you look at when she tweeted about Medicare for all, you can see the reduction in the amount of times from 40 times in 2018 to then 8 times in 2020 to then 1 time in the last 6 months. Basically.
When we need it most. When we need it most.
What?
When even libertarians were like, I'll go against my ways. Maybe we need Medicare for all right now.
So it's kind of like, it's hilarious. It's pathetic. It's hilarious. It's all these things. And it's something that you have to kind of point out, because when you see that in coalition with to how she's been talking about the vaccines, now we're not going to get deeply into this, but I wanted to show how she's being propagandized, used, and tokenized for the vaccine. AFA-CWA, a public service announcement from AOC in support of flight attendants. We appreciate you. Get vaxxed, wear a mask, and come fly with us.
Come fly with me.
This is her Instagram. Why a mask still? I thought we were done with that. Because federal guidelines still require mask usage on planes and other forms of mass transit like trains and buses. With the Delta variant emerging, that likely won't change in the immediate term. So bring a mask if you're going to fly. And please don't give flight attendants a hard time. They're dealing with a lot.
First
a
of
lot
all,
right now.
AOC's IG stories are always narrative management central.
100%.
Second of all,
100%.
Second of all, I guess it's federally mandated then to keep destroying the environment and polluting the oceans because those masks, especially the surgical ones, contain microplastics that are harmful for the environment, and they get littered everywhere.
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
Yeah, and by the way, 99% of the masks that they wear out there don't save you from the virus. The virus can get through, and you're more likely to get the virus if you wear the mask because it's going to be touching your face and whatnot. And we know all this now because fucking Fauci's emails are out there, and he was saying this shit. He just went along with the fucking establishment because they wanted to put the fear of God into the citizens out there so they can control them.
Well,
and that's what
works.
And that's what the masks were all about. You know, it's so fucking stupid over here. And the fact that they suppressed any other forms of alternative medicines that are pennies on the dollar that actually are effective and work. And now you can see they're already gearing up with the Delta variant. Here it comes. COVID-19 part 2, revenge of the Delta variant.
Well,
Something is coming.
Yeah,
it's coming.
And she's a useful idiot, obviously. She's a PR face for every establishment talking point you can imagine. And you said the environment. Well, AOC actually cares about the environment, Glory Jones. That's why she's pushing this Green New Deal. And if you haven't read anything about Cory Morningstar's work on that, I encourage everybody to go take a look because it's so revealing. The things she talks about, it really just makes the connections. And there was an interview too with Whitney Webb and her together talking about the Fourth Industrial Revolution. I recommend that as well. It's on SoundCloud. But AOC, last year, she said, update, last year, a lot of families in our community struggled in the shift to remote learning. So Team AOC organizers mobilized and built a volunteer homework helpers program on mutual aid model. Now we're celebrating thousands of hours of free tutoring and expanding. I wanted to show this because before the next read I show, the AOC does photo ops, right? Everything she has done from the time she went to the border, from the time she got a spread on Vogue, from everything she's done, it's all about the pictures, the media there showing how she's just one of you, right? She's just a hardworking, working class individual. She cares about education. She cares about the environment. And she doesn't do anything, though. That's my whole point. It's just photo ops. And here she is again with the Sunrise Movement. And this is where they took a bunch of, look at all the cameras, right? Look at all the cameras focused on her. And then all you see in the media is, AOC goes and stands with Sunrise Movement protesters, which, by the way, another plug, Robbie Yeager has been talking about the Sunrise Movement's funding, that they take dirty, dark
receipts.
money. And not only that, I mean, he just goes into this whole web of with the receipts and every single breakdown and just how corrupt they are. And again, if you read the whole Fourth Industrial Revolution and look into the Great Reset, you can see that a lot of these institutions that claim to be pro-environment are actually pro-privatization of the environment and are making so much money off of this whole environmentalist climate change, combating, but really they're not combating anything at all. They're just propping up this narrative, right? And that's what
they
a
are
lot
being
of people
dangerous. They're duping people.
They're duping people, and they're using kids, because a lot of the people who joined Sunrise were kids, who really had great intentions. And it was the leadership too that is very problematic. And of course, there was also that person that spoke out, and they were scared about speaking out. I mean, this is real with the Sunrise Movement. I used to advocate for the Sunrise Movement. I knew people who were in it, right? So it's bad. And this is once again AOC doing that. But just the bottom line, right? The truth is, all of the squad ran on Medicare for all. Now they don't talk about it. They're not talking about it. Access to healthcare, expansion of Medicare.
Ooh.
That's all. That they become the next generation of Nancy Pelosi's. They're, like Steve said when he was on our show, they're going to replace the old guard. They're not going to change it.
Yeah.
They're just
They're not there to fight the old guard. They're there to replace it. And listen, with a little help from their friends, mainstream media, they kind of spin it off as like, oh, AOC and the progressives are battling against Nancy Pelosi and it's an all-out war. So then when it ends, it was like, look, they fought the establishment for years. Now they are the establishment. Yeah, they worked with the establishment the whole fucking time. Everybody knows it. So great resetter. Anything? No?
Oh, freaking QAnon conspiracy theorists. I mean, yeah, you guys hit all the bases on that. Like, they're at the end of the day, that's what's disgusting about the Great Reset and the agenda for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, is that it's looking to weaponize kind of the most energetic aspects of our culture, because that's what's often the catalyst for change. Right. So they saw the explosion of protest last summer, and they thought, ooh, that's gonna look real good, pushing deep sea mining in the Pacific Ocean and more nickel mining in Tanzania and around all of Africa. So that's what a lot of these leaders do. And research into Klaus Schwab's past, founder of the World Economic Forum, done by a good friend of ours, Johnny Vedmore, has shown that Klaus has always had an interest in young people. So they're using young people and youth movements and this like kind of like vibrant culture to try and push their agenda, which ultimately won't benefit us in the end.
Yeah. And you should say his name, Mr. Schwab's name, right? Klaus Schwab.
Okay, okay, white man.
But
okay.
But it's funny
white man.
White. It's funny how both sides use different types of emotions to dupe their people into shit. Both sides do it, you know what I'm saying? And this is like, you have to be compassionate. You have to be care for minorities and people of color. Do the right thing. Don't look into the nuances of what they're really trying to do, but just come along with us and stuff. Yeah. And the other side is like, oh, there's pedophilias, and we have, a chosen one who was recruited by QAnoners and the military person and Donald Trump to go fix all these problems that we have. And it's like they just use emotion.
It's culture war.
And it's a bunch of people just sitting back going, what the fuck is going on?
And just to reiterate that what Glory said, the Sierra Club is the organization that's above the Sunrise Movement, and the Sierra Club has been a liberal organization forever now. Like it basically, it is so bad. Nothing gets done. You don't see any sort of work towards stopping any sort of climate crisis. They just make money off of that. It's a big money making machine, and their little baby is the Sunrise Movement. So
said this over a year ago. We all been saying how the squad, especially AOC, is some of the most dangerous Congress people out there because they are duping people left and right.